back to Flock Talk. This is episode 12, and we're going to be talking about card games. Should be a good time. So we're going to be talking about card games, but first we got some hot topics to cover.
Hot topics.
Chris, Jackbox 4 came out, and you got it. You jumped on that, didn't you?
I had a group of people coming over, and they said, hey, that Jackbox Party Pack 4, it's coming out, and we want you to buy it so that we can play it. And I said, yeah, that's fine.
Did they all chip in, like normal people, where they all chip in, you all split the game?
Normal people?
Yeah, normal people. Everybody does it.
I don't think anyone
if you
does
play a
that.
multiplayer game, you go over to your friend's place, and then you give them a percentage of the game that you played.
I'm only playing it for an hour, but you've played it for 100, so here's $1. No, so they did not chip in, but I didn't ask them to because I'm the one who owns the game now. So anyway, moving on. Jackbox Party Pack 4, here's my hot take. Not very good.
Oh, that's too bad because the other ones are really fun.
The other ones are good. There are 5 new games. One is a returning game. That's Fibbage. If you liked Fibbage before, Fibbage is back, and Fibbage is the same. And the problem with Fibbage, if you have played Fibbage before, you probably realize that what you're trying to do is blend in with innocuous answers. And so Fibbage is not that fun if what you're really looking for from these games is creativity and a chance to like make your friends laugh. Because when I play these games, you may win. Someone may win the game, someone may get the most points, but what you haven't actually won unless a person has fallen out of their chair, like crying, laughing. Like, you could win, but if you didn't do that, like, you didn't really win.
So Fibbage is a lot like Balderdash, right?
Yeah, so you're trying to like blend in. The second game on the list is a game called Survive the Internet. And Survive the Internet, you write a phrase, and then the phrase will be sent to another member of the party. They will then write an internet caption over it, and then they'll try to make your thing look silly, but also not good, because the humor is being generated by the game and not necessarily from you. So, not good. Survive the Internet's not good. And then another of the new games is Monster Seeking Monster, which is a game where you text each other through the game, and you act as a monster. You're given like a monster role, and you're trying to do something in the game in order to get extra hearts, and if you have the most hearts, you've won the game. But the weird thing is that you're texting other people that you know, getting them to date you. It's just a weird game to play with people you know that you're not trying to like romantically engage.
It would be a good singles game or something.
Like, if I was 13 and all my other friends were 13 and we were all 13, maybe it's a fun game. I don't know. It's probably still weird then.
Even as a singles game, it sounds a little suspect. Like, maybe as a speed dating kind of activity or something.
Maybe.
Or maybe like a game to play with your coworkers at lunch.
No.
Whoa.
It's terrible. Oh, gosh, no.
So I don't know who this game is for.
Yeah. Monsters. Real
Maybe
monsters.
monsters.
Then another of these games is called Bracketeering, and the game will give you, like, who's the funniest cartoon character, and then you type in a cartoon character, and then it puts it in brackets, and then you vote on the brackets, and you make bets.
Oh, like a betting, like a sports tree kind of
like
thing?
a sports tree, and then it does all the sports tree until they finally fight each other in the end, and there is a winner. But it sucks.
Oh, that one actually sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, sure.
As somebody who likes lists and ranking things.
Yeah.
Gambling.
And yeah, that hits all my buttons, baby.
Fine, see, but again, I want like creativity from this, so like
I feel like the best of these multiplayer games are the ones where you don't care about winning, right? Like, you just want to, like you said, you want to make the other people laugh, and you want them rolling around on the floor from your ridiculous answers or whatever. And then sometimes you actually want to say something that is funny and uniquely you, right? So it's like, oh my god, that was totally Chris, right?
Right.
or like try to disguise it as like everyone's going to think Myles said this, and I'll say something, or I'll write something that sounds more like Myles. But it's because you don't care about winning, right? You're not going to get the points that way, and you don't care about winning. But if they strip that out of it, where it's just like the only way to win is to have the actual best answer, like the only way to actually get through the game is for someone to pursue that, right?
Yeah.
You could play a whole Jackbox game where like everyone has like 0 points or something, or like very few points at the end, right? Because nobody really cares that much about winning. So
Yeah, they shouldn't. Like, I've played these Jackbox games with some people who like are really interested in winning, and you're like, nah, get out of here. What are you doing?
but if you play like 1 or 2 games with enough, like when we play with you, it's quite clear you're just trying to be creative and write the funniest answers and stuff like that.
Civic Doodle's kind of the most interesting of the games, where it gives you both players get a picture, and they have to add on to the picture.
Okay.
And then whoever's is voted on as the best picture then goes on to be the picture that then 2 more people have to add on to.
Okay.
So it builds on itself. So it's actually a really fun drawing game. Stuff can get really interesting.
Yeah.
It was fun. That was the best one of the bunch for me. But the rest of this...
If you're into that, then you might as well just be playing That's You, right?
That's You, or the t-shirt game from 3. Like, we've got a lot of time out of the t-shirt game from 3.
Yeah, we never played the t-shirt. I don't think we've even played 3. But in general, I personally like the drawing ones too, because there's the one that's like the art auction, and Drawful 1 and 2 or whatever. Those are fun games.
So, number 4 is a skip. I would recommend a skip, but if anything that I said out loud here makes you want to buy it, then it's probably up your alley. If you don't like these games for the creativity and would rather have like a points-driven betting, writing the correct answer experience, maybe this is the game for you.
So I grabbed a couple games that I really was looking forward to recently. I picked up South Park, Fractured But Whole.
Oh, the Fractured But Whole.
And I also picked up Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. So, South Park came out a week earlier, and I was able to finish it. It's still, like, pretty new to me, so I'm still letting it all sink in. Overall, I would say I enjoyed it, and one of the things that I liked the most about it, compared to the Stick of Truth, was that the combat was a lot more interesting than in Stick of Truth. So, a lot of the fights, I was actually trying to strategically plan things, and it was a tactical RPG as opposed to a traditional turn-based RPG. There was that, and there was also a lot more characters to choose from in this game.
I saw some tweets where people were saying that they liked the Stick of Truth better, but that they're very close. So it's like liking one over the other, but it's still an extension of like a similar experience.
There are some things that are different, but overall the map is the same as Stick of Truth.
Yeah.
So they didn't really have to change much there. Some things have changed in the map, obviously, but a lot of it is the same. Basically, they had a lot more time to just work on a story for this game. Like, that's the only way it's really going to feel different.
They didn't have a lot more time. They gave themselves a lot more time.
Yeah.
Because this game was supposed to be out almost a year ago, right? So
fundamentally, though, do you feel like the gameplay is worth it in itself, or is this really like a story game? You're buying it for the South Park story.
I'm not going to spoil anything with story details here, but I am going to tell you about how I feel about this game. And if you don't want to know that, just skip ahead 1 minute. I'll be really quick about it. So the way I felt about this game was that the first half was very, very good in terms of story and action and everything. I was very into it. And then it suffers from having multiple endings. You know, like the third Lord of the Rings movie, where you're just like, all right. It's just like 5 endings, and you always think the game is done, but it just keeps going and going and going, and then you just stop caring altogether. And it's very poor writing at the end. Other than that, I thought the game was pretty good, and a lot of the side quests actually reminded me a lot of Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Kiwami, where like the side quests are almost more fun than the main game, and they were a lot funnier as well, which was pretty good. And the summon system was a lot of fun as well.
What do you think about this franchise for someone who isn't a South Park fan? Like, is there any value to it for someone who doesn't necessarily appreciate the humor? or is it really just geared towards people who at least have to like the show?
Yeah, if you don't appreciate the humor, if you're not into South Park, then there's probably no reason to play this game, because it pretty much feels like watching like a 20-hour episode of South Park.
So like watching like 7 seasons.
Yeah.
Because there's like 3 episodes a season now.
Yeah.
South Park is a very interesting TV show. It was offensive when it came out, and it came out in like 1998 or 99 or something like that, right? It's gone on for a very long time, and it continues to push the boundaries like it was the 90s. And it tries to do some things now where a lot of the people who laughed at it, in the early 2000s, sometimes they're doing material now where it feels like this isn't okay anymore. Like, some of the stuff that you're doing, you're getting away with because you're South Park. And if anyone else tried to do this, it would be pretty offensive. And it's not as funny as you think it is. So, I mean, you get that from South Park a little bit these days.
That's a really good take on South Park, because South Park for the last season or two, the introduction of PC Principal I thought was really cool, but then to like last season was a friggin' mess, and this season I don't know. There was one good episode so far, but it is not taking me down a road that I really want to go down.
For me, it's kind of run its course. I still really like these games, and if they came out with a third one, I'd like insta buy it.
Right.
But that's kind of how I felt about it. And then I went on to Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, and Wolfenstein 2, it's really difficult. That's my first impression. It's just very, very hard. You only start with 50 life, like 50% life total.
Oh, right, yeah, I read about this.
And basically, any guy... I'm playing on the second easiest difficulty. There's 5 or 6 difficulties that you get to start with. And I'm playing on the second easiest, and I'm getting one-shot killed by, like, random dudes. They're not even, like, the tough characters that show up, like the elite soldiers. Just one-shot kill. And then I have to start again.
Are you playing it in the sneaky, stealthy way?
You can be sneaky, stealthy for a little bit, but eventually you gotta go guns blazing, right?
I don't know. You have to play in the sneaky, stealthy way.
That's not how I like playing games.
Patient with that, though.
But I didn't have to play the first 2 games like that.
Yeah, but in this one, you start out in a worse state than before.
It's a good point.
It is a good point.
Instead, he'll probably bump down to the easiest, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. If I keep getting stuck.
Have you looked up a few things on the internet to see if maybe there's like an easier path than the path you're taking? Maybe you're just banging your head against the wall unnecessarily.
Maybe it's just getting through the first round of it, like, because as you say, he starts off in a worse state.
Yeah, if I had like 100% health, I think things would be a lot better.
You think you'd be fine? Yeah.
Like if those one-shot guys became 2-shot guys, I think I'd be okay.
Right, and what you're finding here is that the difficulty is not fair. It seems like it's almost unfair.
I've been playing for 2 hours, and I don't think I hit the introduction of the game. Like, I don't think I hit the Wolfenstein intro. I do like it, though, and one thing that I will say that they do right off the bat is that they do a really good intro, or like last time on Wolfenstein, and they give you a very quick, like, what happened in the game, and then you make a decision in that first Wolfenstein game, and you get the choice to make the other decision, or if you want to stick with the decision you made. Okay. And it affects the timeline a little bit, but you can choose.
Did you play the first one?
Yeah, I played the first 2. I played Wolfenstein, and then I played the Old Blood spinoff, and then now I'm playing this one all this year.
Since the trailer for this one came out.
Yeah.
Right? Because at E3, and then everyone was freaking out about how great this one looks. And it is probably still going to be a really good game. Yeah. But people got super excited about this one, including Myles. So it was like, I got to play the first 2 before this one comes out.
Is there anything as good as Nazis on the Moon yet?
I mean, I'm just starting the game. Already I love it, though. I really do. Like, I will finish this game, even if it is the hardest game I play. But I'm not the only one who got new games, and Chris isn't the only one who got new games. Kathryn got new games, too.
I got a new game. I got a new game for my 3DS. It was Layton's Mystery Journey, but it doesn't have Professor Layton in it. It's his daughter, Catriel. So the subtitle is like Catriel and the Millionaires Conspiracy, but it plays just like a Professor Layton game. They're puzzle heavy. You go through the town and you talk to people and you uncover puzzles. And this one, it's about Professor Layton's daughter Catriel starting her own detective agency. It's super cute. The first case that comes in is a dog, and he talks, and he can't remember how he became a talking dog, and then he just basically becomes your companion. So you have two, and then you have like an assistant. So in the Professor Layton games, it's very similar. He has Luke, this little boy who follows around, and then I think he also had an assistant. Whenever I get these Layton games, that's all I do is I just play them because I like solving puzzles. I remember looking this up before, and like the Professor Layton puzzles and stuff like that are all from this one dude. This Japanese, he's a professor. I think he's maybe in his 80s or something, and he's a professor at some university. But I like the puzzles. They're pretty fun. This one though, I felt like, so you gain, every puzzle has like a kind of difficulty level, and I felt like this one didn't have as many really difficult puzzles. It had a lot of like medium difficulty puzzles. But I do like, you can go back and you can retry any puzzle that you uncover. You can go back and find any that you missed. And yeah, it's just, if you like Professor Layton games, this is no different. Worth playing.
Do you end up paying the dog? Like, he's working for you now.
Yeah,
like...
right? And he's pretty uppity about it too. It's weird because he wants to figure out, like, you're assuming he was a human or something before, you don't know, but then he
Sounds
also
like
just
Persona 5 a little bit.
he also kind of
yeah, like a Morgana
yeah.
kind of
but
situation.
he kind of also just wants to live a dog's life. Like, can't I just like sit at home? And he's funny though because he gets like really mad at Catriel because she's like really messy and stuff like that, and he's funny. Like he's basically like begrudgingly comes on a lot of these cases and stuff, but it's cute when he solves a puzzle. Sometimes he said, "I ain't nothing but a hound dog," and I laughed every time.
Did you ever feel like you were doing a book of puzzles, or do they tie the stories together well enough?
Yeah, so that's one thing that they do really well, is that it's a chapter-based thing. So this one, because it's the millionaires, as in plural possessive, like so multiple, like there's 7 millionaires, and they each have a case. So you kind of deal with each of them, and then it doesn't necessarily seem like they're connected, but you know, these games always has like kind of forward momentum that leads to something, like a big thing or whatever. So this is no different than any of the other ones. Like it is solving one overarching mystery by solving a bunch of smaller ones.
Professor Layton and the Phoenix Wright games are always talked about side by side. Do you think the puzzles are similar in nature?
No, they're very different. So Phoenix Wright is a logic kind of deduction game. So it's a visual novel, and it's more just collecting clues and evidence and trying to tie them together. This is specifically puzzles. Like it'll be, you know, that traffic jam puzzle where you have to like release the car by moving all the blocks.
Oh yeah.
Similar stuff like that, or it could just be math puzzles. It could be riddles. Like they're just puzzles, and they're not like in Phoenix Wright. Everything is connected to the case that you're working on. In this one, the puzzles are just completely unrelated to what's going on. A lot of the puzzles you find hidden in places, like you'll see a gingerbread house and then they'll say, oh, that reminds me of this puzzle, and it's like, how do these gingerbread, I'm totally making this puzzle up, but how did you make this gingerbread house using these pieces, kind of thing, right? So they don't have anything to do with the actual story or anything.
If you don't get it right away and you're taking a long time to do a puzzle in these games, do they just end up giving you the answer? Or do they give you the option to take a hint?
Yes, every puzzle has 4 hints, 3 regular hints that kind of build upon each other. They get a little bit more information each time. And then the 4th one, and so during the game you also collect coins, and you can find coins hidden through every scene. And you can spend a coin to get a hint, or you can spend 2 coins to get a super hint, which I think, I've never done it, I've always gotten the hints in order. So I think that you only get the super hint if you get the previous hints. But I could be wrong about that. I've never just gone straight for the super hint.
Is this you bragging right now? Or...
No. I just
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
It's not. It's me setting rules for myself. So for me, I can get a lot of puzzles, but I'm super impatient, and so like if I feel like there's some kind of like play on words or some kind of trick to this thing that I'm just not getting, I'll take a hint. But I make myself like try to get it one hint at a time. So
if I was you in that situation,
you'd be going straight for the super hint.
No. I wouldn't take any hints, and I would just go on my phone online and I'd look it up.
Why? No.
Oh, that's how you beat the game.
Sneaky.
That's how you beat it.
I don't think that is cheating.
You gotta game the game. You gotta game the system.
But there is an annoying thing though where you can go back and look at your puzzle list and it tells you how many hints you used, and so there is a blemish on your record if you go back and you look.
Mine would be spotless.
I don't care then. There's 180 puzzles. Like if on 10 of them I needed to use hints, I'm okay with that.
You're only fighting yourself. There is no one else that you're competing with. Take the hint.
No.
I don't mind it. I think there's one puzzle where like even after I got the answer and I was like, I still don't understand what this puzzle even means. And then I took the hints and I was like, when it basically tells you the answer. So I picked the answer and I'm like, how is that even the answer to what was the question? I was very confused. One day I'll go back and look at that puzzle a little more carefully.
All right, that's it for Hot Topics. Now it's time to move on to card games.
Hi, this is Player One of the Cartridge Club, and today I'd like to talk to you about one of my favorite podcasts, Media Mavens. Media Mavens is hosted by Pam and Riley, and they cover a wide range of topics from television to video games, K-pop to movies, and they make every show entertaining. In an industry that's awash in 30-something-year-old dudes, it's refreshing to get a point of view that doesn't sound like a carbon copy. I highly suggest you check out Media Mavens. They air every second Monday on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. You won't be disappointed.
Card games is an interesting topic for me because they're such an important part of my life. Most of the people, I would say 99% of the people I know are because of card games. I met Chris at university when we were playing Magic. I met Kathryn playing poker at a bar. A lot of the people from YouTube, just the reason I went on YouTube in the first place was because of Magic the Gathering. And a lot of my close personal friends were people I met at stores playing cards. So card games really mean a lot more to me than just the games themselves. I think that it's a great way to build a community of people who have similar interests, and I really cherish the friends I've made through playing Magic and poker.
It's a very sentimental episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so touching.
So I just kind of want to share a story. I've been thinking about this for the last couple of weeks since I knew we were going to do this topic. I was trying to think of one of my better Magic the Gathering stories or more interesting ones just to kick this thing off. And I wanted to tell you about this coffee shop that I used to go to with my friends. I think Chris went a couple times. It was this coffee shop in the middle of nowhere. We would be the only patrons at the coffee shop, and we would order one coffee or two coffees for 8 people, and we would play Magic and poker there for 8 or 9 hours. We used to call this guy, the guy who ran the coffee shop, the chief, and he just looked so tired all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, it's not a good story.
It's no longer sentimental and
but
touching.
He would, I remember one time, it was 2 or 3 in the morning, and I was playing Magic with my friend there, and we were the only ones there, and he looked at us, and he came out from behind the counter, and he said, "Listen, guys, I'm gonna go home and take 2 hours and have just sleep for 2 hours because I gotta be back here to pick up the ingredients to make donuts when the delivery comes. And it's also my anniversary. So I'm gonna lock up. If you guys, I'm gonna lock up for 2 hours, but I'll be back to unlock the shop, and you guys could leave then if you want to stay, or you could leave right now." And we said, "Oh, we'll stay." So the guy locked up the shop and left, and came back 2 hours later, and we were still playing Magic. So he just locked us in his shop by ourselves.
Was it the close of the shop's hours? Like, was
We
that
were
the
always like, oh,
closing
it's
hours?
the best because they're open 24 hours a day. But I remember
Jesus.
that I actually looked at the hours eventually, and they were not open 24 hours a day. But if we were there, they just wouldn't close.
Oh, that's really nice.
No, that's friggin' brutal because you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
kept him there. He would have closed
Yeah.
at like 10, but you guys were there until 2, and then he was like, I gotta go home, but maybe I could make $5 friggin'
Yeah.
dollars off
Let me
of
tell
these
you,
guys.
this is
and you guys were like,
this story
nah.
gets a lot worse.
Oh no.
So
No, I don't like this.
listen to this, Catherine. Tell me how you feel about this story. A Harvey's opens up next door.
No, I already know this story.
And people started bringing in Harvey's and eating it there while we played Magic.
That's
Oh,
terrible.
that's so
And this
brutal.
coffee, clearly
You guys
this
are
coffee
such
shop doesn't
jerks.
exist anymore. Oh, this is a really awful
I
story.
remember though they tried
Yay.
to, because okay, listen.
I love card games. Oh God.
See, this is the problem. This is why he's out of business, because if he was a smart guy, he would have bought booster boxes and he would have had packs
Yeah,
for you
but
guys.
we played Cube, so we didn't need to buy cards.
Yeah, but you guys would have bought packs.
Also, once we started doing that, he started making food, like, because we'd get sandwiches once in a while, but he had, like, spaghetti and meatballs. And I remember I ordered it once. Never again. It was the worst.
He was trying to help you guys out. This is terrible.
This is
a terrible
terrible.
story.
I don't like
We
it.
really love that place, and
It doesn't sound like you did. Oh my God.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
like
no
I said,
wonder.
card games are all about community and building the community and supporting the community. So
Oh, boy.
that's how I'm going to start this off. Also, you know, I was a lot younger. I was in school when that was going on. We didn't have a lot of money, just enough to buy Harvey's.
You had enough money to buy Harvey's, you had enough money to buy Magic cards, and you had enough money to get to this place.
All true.
But once you got there,
And we had enough money to play poker.
You guys lived there like 6 months rent free. That's
Yeah,
basically
it
what
was
happened.
Pretty bad. If I could go back now, I would. Let me tell you, I would not be bringing in Harvey's.
I would be buying one coffee and staying 6 hours.
I would order the spaghetti and meatballs with a smile on my face if that place was still open to this day.
No, he's no longer around.
I will say that a lot of that happened when I was a lot younger. I had more time to play Magic and poker and even Dungeons and Dragons, not a card game, but we played it there in person at the shop. When I got a little bit older, I didn't have as many opportunities to go and meet up with friends to play games. So it was so nice that there was Magic Online that I was able to play at home, being a litol bit older and still having access to this game that I love. Did you ever play any of that Magic Online? I know you did, but
I played, I want to say, like 2 months of Magic the Gathering Online. And then I was like, this is not good. This is not a good interface.
yeah, it's true. The user interface for that platform was ridiculously bad, especially considering the amount of money that was coming into that website. Because
Oh my
drafts would fire
God.
all the time, and they were charging the same price for a pack, which was $4 US, was how much they were charging online as well. Except in real life, you get the cards and you can sell them again. And online, the resale value of those cards is nothing.
It's nothing.
You just lose money
nothing.
playing that game.
It is still going on. They are still
If you're
making
really
money.
good at it, then you can win points or whatever to buy packs with. But you have to be really good at it,
Sure.
like consistent.
I feel like I broke even ultimately because I was able to redeem 12 or 13 sets of Magic cards.
So that's the one thing.
Yeah.
If you collected every single card in a set, then early on you could redeem them for physical cards.
Can you still do that?
You
Yeah.
can, but it's expensive now. Like, you have to pay a lot for shipping. Back then, I think you paid one shipping price and you could redeem multiple sets. So he would redeem like 5 sets and just pay one shipping cost. Now the shipping cost, I think, is built into each set that you redeem. So it's far more expensive to do that. But on a good set, it will include some cards that
Right.
hold value. But it's still like it's a lot of work to collect all the cards online as well, just as it is in person. So
And that was one of the only games where I got really emotionally involved while I was playing. Like, I remember there were some instances when I was playing the game, and this I don't do this that often, rarely if ever, where I would lose a game and I would like physically hit the table or be like upset or like shout or something because it was so frustrating because you had stuff riding on it, right? Like you need to redeem sets to make it worthwhile. And that was one of the only times I got kind of emotional playing a game. So I'm kind of glad I don't play online anymore. But there were other games that we played online that were card games. Did you ever play the Dominion?
I played Dominion first just in person, right? And it has a very Magic feel, but it's a lot more accessible to new players. So it's, I could introduce my friends to it who don't play any Magic at all. The games are pretty quick, and once you start playing, you kind of understand it. So I have friends who played no Magic who actually really like Dominion. But if I ever play Dominion with some of Miles's friends who all play Magic, it's a much harder game because they all look at the cards differently than just your average person, right? So they'll look at a Dominion card and they'll think, oh, it's a deck building game, so card advantage is really important, and drawing cards is really important, and they prioritize these things. And like your casual gamer who doesn't know anything about Magic kind of gets lost when they're playing against Magic player because you're like, why are you picking that card over this card? I don't understand why that card is better. And like Miles has a friend, Frank, we call him Tall Frank because he's 6'8". But whenever we played Dominion with him, he would like for the first 3 minutes maybe not talk, and he would just stare at all the cards, and then he would basically break the game. Like he would figure out any 10 cards he put out there, he would figure out like the fastest path to winning, right? Because he's such an analytical Magic player.
It's something that maybe you didn't notice, though, when Frank was looking at all the cards, if you looked into his eyes, you would actually see the matrix scrolling.
Yeah,
yeah, he's Android for sure. Like he oh, he listens to this. We love Frank, but he's just that good at like analyzing the card games and mechanics and stuff like that. And Dominion is randomized, so you only play with like 10 or 12 different cards, so it's always a different set, and they all do slightly different things, but towards the same end, always towards the same end, getting the highest number of points. But when we started, we found out that there's like a German board game site called, I think it's called Brightspiel or something like that, and they had Dominion on there, and that's when Miles and I got a lot better at playing Dominion because we would get crushed, absolutely crushed playing these people, and they would do things like trash their coppers and like low cards and stuff like that. Even their victory points, they would trash some of those, and we're like, what is going on here? This is a completely different way to play the game, and it like exponentially escalates like the level of play when you start doing that. So actually playing Dominion online through this German site, where it's good because like there wasn't a lot of communication and stuff, so you don't get like the really angry online game trolley stuff. You just play the game, and the mechanics worked quite well on that site, and I felt like we learned how to play that game really well, really quickly playing online. I don't know if it's always like this playing online, but that was like a real benefit for that site. And I think like they have a few other games, like I think Carcassonne and stuff like that, which was pretty fun. And I'll just like kind of quickly also mention there's a game called Ascension. I don't know if you've ever played.
I have not played Ascension. I look at Ascension every few months when I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get into another card game. And then I kind of always give it a pass, but
it's also like Magic similar, deck building, Dominion similar, but there's a mobile app that does a really good job of mimicking the game. So it's just as good playing, and I think you can kind of adjust the AI so you can make it a little bit more difficult, and it's just one that translated really well to a digital format.
Right.
And it's a card-based game as well. So on topic.
And we were talking about Androids before, and I was playing Android Netrunner for a little while.
Oh, yes.
I didn't ever go to a tournament or anything, but I found that like also designed by Richard Garfield to be a really cool card, like really asymmetrical card game. And it's not sold in the same way that Magic the Gathering is sold. It's sold in what's called data packs. Those data packs come with 3 cards of each card in the whole set. So this data pack X has 20 cards. You get 60 cards in the pack.
And you know which cards you're getting.
You know which cards you're getting. You get as many copies as you need. Kind of annoying thing is that the base core set doesn't follow that same principle. They'll give you 1 card of some cards and 3 cards of other cards, and it turned out that, like, well, there's a few cards in the core set that they only give you 1 of, but are, like, key to the entirety of strategy. So it was really annoying thinking that I should probably go get 3 core sets if I'm going to get into this game. And you need it's an asymmetrical game, but you can't just show up with one half of the asymmetry. You have to show up with both decks.
Sorry, can you explain a little bit? I don't know what.
Sure, yeah. Let me explain Netrunner.
No, just what
quickly.
An asymmetrical means.
Sure. Yes. So here you go. In Netrunner, there is a corporation. The corporation is trying to hide secrets.
Okay.
The runner, who's like a hacker, is trying to find the secrets. So the...
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
it's like
the
a versus
corporation
game.
will like set up servers, and behind those servers will be the secrets, and the runner is trying to get behind the servers.
So you have to show up
secrets.
At a tournament with a Netrunner deck and a government deck or corporation deck.
Yeah, you got to
okay.
show up with both
I
of those, and I think you play 2 games of each side. I'm not sure how it works out. Their tournament structure is a little weird in comparison to like a Magic tournament structure, but it kind of has to be because of the structure of the game. It is really good because it's not just like in, say, Magic, where this is a card, it is my creature. It is like, I am setting up my server, I am going to take a run at that server, and it feels in a card game like you're doing the thing you're doing.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's not just like, I'll tap the card and it represents attacking. It's like, no, I'll take a run at that, I'll activate this, that's my program.
You don't feel like you're summoning a curd ape when you lay down that card, and then it doesn't look sick for 1 turn, and it can't attack.
Not a curd ape, but a Hurloon Minotaur.
Oh, okay.
You know what? I've been playing Magic for so long that I actually think attacking is just turning sideways. In real life, it redefined the words for me.
So that's Netrunner. It's really good. The core set, you can have like a really good experience out of it. It will not be a basic experience either. It can get pretty serious out of like a 1 core box. And then there's the legacy thing you can add on to a core box that lets you play a whole story, but adding in cards as you go along, which is what Magic should do. I don't know why Magic hasn't done this. Like a legacy version of Magic where as you go through 10 games, you get 3 more curd apes for your deck. Like, what is Magic doing not catching on to that idea really quickly?
Yeah, I mean, they are trying new things, and I think something like that is possible down the pipeline, but
sure.
Not yet. One thing that they need to keep up with, the reason why they have to keep trying new things is because of Hearthstone. I haven't played Hearthstone, but Chris, you have some experience with that as well, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of experience with Hearthstone. Hearthstone is great. You don't have to talk to anybody, which is great.
That's key. Yeah, that's
because
important. That's how I want to live my life, Chris.
Oh my god.
I don't even want to be talking to you right now. Or Kathryn. No, I always want to talk to Kathryn.
I like most of the people who I've encountered playing Magic, and there are people I do not like and do not want to spend any time with, but they're the people that are there all the time, and so they make going to the place not so much fun.
Yeah. Why is that? The worst ones are the ones that are just always there.
I don't necessarily like a whole conversation to go with these card games that like that I'm playing for 10 minutes and that I'm done and I never have to deal with the person again. That's Hearthstone. The interface is great. Like, oh my goodness. The interface is great. The animations are great.
It's beautiful. And it's funny. And it's like, you can actually interact with it if you're in downtime or something like that. It's fun, and I like the minor differences with Magic, like the generating 1 mana every turn, that kind of thing, and like it simplifies it in a way that I felt like was a little bit more accessible than Magic.
It's way more accessible than Magic. The fact that you can't do anything actual, like you can set up things to happen on other players' turns, but they happen automatically. You can't actually go and force something to happen. Like it doesn't have the instants and interrupts that Magic has. So
Interrupt.
yeah, the interrupts. It really simplifies that kind of game, but that's not even like the most interesting part because other games do that, right? But if your game is entirely in the digital space like Hearthstone is, you can have things that actually are random. The card will say summon a random creature and it'll be random and you don't have to own it, and so it'll just show up. Or like summon a random legendary creature, and that's just a mechanic that's in the game. Like random things happen, and they can happen with cards you don't own.
But that's what prevents it from being played in like on tabletop.
Yeah, of course you can't. So it does things Magic can't do. I mean, Magic does things it can't do, but it does things Magic can't do, and those things make it an interesting game.
And you can't cheat.
I suppose you can't cheat. I think the answer is you can't cheat, but
And even if you can, Blizzard is so on top of that stuff.
They're so on top of it. You get rid of all the Magic cheating, all the nonsense where you need like dozens of judges to just watch people shuffle.
Yeah. Myles was telling me at the Canadian Nationals in Magic was a mess because like they didn't stamp the cards, and so everyone was just cheating.
Yeah, they didn't stamp the cards, which is it's a little complicated to go over here, but yeah.
Basically, you just stamp the cards to show that they were cards that were opened at the tournament. But if you don't do that, then you can just bring any old card and kind of pretend like you opened it or whatever.
And you kind of have to stamp it with different stamps if it's pack 1, pack 2, or pack 3.
Yeah.
So that you can't take 2 cards in pack 2 and put one from pack 1 back in.
Oh, that's how they cheat. Yeah, they swap cards and stuff. Oh, anyway, it was just a mess. Can't do that in Hearthstone.
Here's the thing. What do you really like about each of these card games? Like, what do you think are the key things that are the best of Magic? All the card games we've mentioned.
So I was thinking about this question. That's a very interesting question.
Oh, thank you.
Because I think that the mechanics of card games, things that they always have that are involved, something we talked about earlier, is ranking and sorting. So I think in a draft process, you're constantly ranking and sorting, and your levels of what you need changes as you take more cards, right? So when you take a card and you pass the next pile you look at, things have changed because you already have a card. Now you're reassessing. And I like that. I like that quick assessment, like having to quickly assess things as they change. I also really like bluffing. I think bluffing is something that you get almost in every card game that you play. You benefit by seeming weak or seeming strong. And if you can, if you can portray that or choose how people see you, I think it's a huge benefit in those games. And I really like that component of card games.
I think the biggest thing for me for a card game is the randomness, right? So no game is exactly the same, right? You don't just repeat the exact same thing over and over again, because most card games have like shuffling or drawing cards and stuff like that, and that inherently changes how you play the game, how others play the game, and whether or not you can win, or in some cases, right?
I really like simple decisions that matter a lot, that you can take a decent amount of time to try to figure out, but they're not like, you're not doing calculus, you're doing like addition and you're doing multiplication. Like we're talking about like simple decisions. And when a card game gets a bit up its own ass about its decision-making process, I feel like kind of can lose me. But like something like Hearthstone is like simple enough. The decisions are like a 4/4 creature. Do I attack with it or do I attack something else? It's easy. Netrunner can kind of be a bit more difficult in terms of the decisions, but the bluffing of it is one of the better bluffing games out there.
I also like physically shuffling cards.
You're good at it. People who aren't good at it probably like that part the least. There is one other game that we played recently that I want to quickly talk about that doesn't have a lot of these things. It especially doesn't have the randomness factor, which means it's a card-based board game that you can only play once. It's called Unlocked. There are 3 versions of the game, but it's essentially an escape game in a box. You've played a different one than the ones that we've played, Chris.
Yeah.
But essentially, it is an escape game. So you start with a card that's a room, and then you find clues that have numbers on them. You find those numbered cards. They have descriptions of things that you see in the room, and you try to figure out how they interact with each other. you add the card numbers together if you think if they work together, and then you reveal more and more cards as you work your way through this room. And so once you play it, that's it. It has an accompanying app to it. So things like there'll be a door with a code, a 4-digit code on it, and you use the app to punch in the code. And if you get it right, it tells you which card to draw. And I just wanted to mention it really quickly because it is it's a very unique card game format where it's a one-time play. So it's kind of a weird thing to just, I guess I'll buy this game for $15, play it once, and throw it out.
And it also tells you how long you have to play it, because the app gives you a countdown timer.
Yeah, you have 1 hour to escape the room, right? But it does a very good job of making you feel like you're in this room, looking through it, digging through clues. It does a really good job of that. And the thing that I like about it is that, yes, you can only play it once, but then you can share it with others. So the copy that I have of one of the versions is actually Chris's copy that you played already.
Yes.
We haven't tried that one yet, but I have a coworker who lent me his, so we kind of swapped so he could try yours, and then I played this one. And then I also ran it for my nieces and my sister, and it's a really fun experience that's unique. It's a very unique card game experience. And I suggest it because it's actually a pretty affordable game. It's like $15.
Right, because we've been talking about games. We've hit up 3, Dominion to a lesser extent, but Dominion also, the games that just grow and grow and grow and can eat up a ton of your money over time.
Yeah.
These are like lifestyle games. You don't get into Magic and buy like 2 decks. I mean, there are people who do, but I think...
Yeah.
They have a lot of self-control if they can buy 2 decks, and maybe they don't like the game maybe as much as, say, we do. But these games are just really good, and they make you just buy more and more of it. But if you really like drafting, there's Sushi Go. That's also a card game.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Again, $20. Sushi Go Party, I think, is maybe $30, but you get all you need in the box. You don't need to buy extra boxes. Dominion, that's just a $40, $50 purchase. You can probably find it on those trading sites for pretty cheap.
For people who, like, if they remember playing in school, that game President or A-Hole, there is a game with luchador wrestlers, basically the exact same game, except there's no values on the cards, and you play a mini game to determine the values of the cards based on your hand.
Yeah,
so,
it was a lot of fun. We played it at Con Bravo, and it's like a Japanese import game. So it's a little bit more expensive just because it's a Japanese import, but it has a lot of replayability. I think it's a ton of fun.
And if you like the bluffing, here's one. Skull and Roses. You can even play it with just a deck of cards. 1 red card, 3 black cards is how I do it. That, I think, is the best bluffing card game I've played. I'm throwing it down. It's the best bluffing card game I've ever played.
It's been a while since we've played it, but I remember it almost feels like a party game. You are just goofing around, really, while you're playing that game, right?
And then the second round happens, and everyone gets really serious about what's happening now.
But that's all the time we have for card games. We're going to move over to odds and ends.
Odds and ends!
Alright, so Kathryn, we were asked a bunch of questions.
Oh.
While you get those questions up and running, I just want to do a couple of housekeeping things. Remind people that we still have a TeePublic store that you can go and pick up t-shirts or notepads or anything like that. Also, they added recently tote bags and electric shavers. I don't know, something else. But I can't remember what it was. Yeah, they added some new things. So you could check it out, see if that's up your alley. It's definitely something that we might do in the future. Also, I started up my Magic channel again. So if you are interested in Magic the Gathering, you can go to youtube.com/MyloTheGreat1, or just search for Milo the Gathering on YouTube. I also submitted a story to Polykill for their horror episode.
This is the most updates we've ever had.
So please go on over to Polykill on Lisbon or on YouTube and check out their newest Off Kilter podcast, because that is going to have a story that I submitted, and it should be good.
Is it called Lisbon? Libsyn?
Libsyn, maybe? Libsyn? I don't remember.
Just search Polykill.com. They have a website.
Did you write that story?
Well, no, it's a story.
No, it was a true story that happened to me. A true scary story that happened to me, and they
Very
tell
cool.
it. I don't want to spoil it. Go on over to Off Kilter and check it out.
The other thing is Canadian Retro.
Oh, Canadian Retro, of course. This coming weekend is going to be doing the Extra Life Challenge for, I think, Sick Kids Hospital.
He does it for sick kids.
And
yeah.
he'll be streaming 25 hours because it's the
Oh,
time change.
they always do it when we gain an hour. So
he's going to be doing a 25-hour live stream. Definitely don't want to miss out on that. So check that over on Canadian Retro's Twitter or Twitch. We'll be linking that as the date comes up.
So just follow us on Twitter, and we'll have links and updates as to when and where that's going to happen. All right, so I have a couple questions. I do remember we didn't see Matt Bandy's question on the forum before we recorded our last podcast, but it actually works out because it's about Halloween costumes, and this comes out the day after Halloween, and he's wondering if we're planning to dress up. Miles and I are pretty boring. We don't do Halloween stuff. We have dressed up in the past. We talked about it on the forum, but one year we dressed as pylons. We were two different kinds of road pylons. And then one year you were dressed as Craigslist and I dressed as Lackey 2. But we don't have pictures of that. We have some pictures of the pylons, but not of my awesome Lackey. I made like a Lackey 2 shell, the Mario guy. I made a Lackey 2 shell out of paper mache and kind of wore it as a vest, and it just kind of hung off my back. And then I made a little final lap sign, and I had a big cloud that hung off my front. It was very cute. I liked it. I should have taken more pictures.
In grade 5, I dressed up like the Punisher and had a toy machine gun and a trench coat.
Oh, that sounds...
Yeah, I know. I was going through pictures recently. I was like, oh, gee, I don't remember it like that. Any weird costumes for you, Chris?
Last year, Nina and I went as Bob's Burgers, Bob
Oh,
Belcher
yeah.
and Linda. Linda?
Maybe, yeah.
Linda?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Linda. We can
All
find...
right.
Is there a picture somewhere?
I'm sure there is.
Maybe we should tweet a picture.
Maybe
We'll
we
tweet
should
a
dig
picture.
one up. Tweet it out.
Do you have plans for this year?
No,
No? No Halloween
Not a
stuff
one.
for you?
not a one.
Oh. Okay, so we told people to hashtag us so that we could give away our prize. And then, of course, that leads into questions about, from the Cartridge Bros, P1, is it true that the games giveaway for Flop Talk is totally random? Also, did my check arrive?
So that's a great question, because your check did arrive, and it cleared, and our contest is completely random. Which brings us to the winner of this month's completely random contest.
It is completely random, and our winner this month is... Musty Hobbit!
Woo! Musty Hobbit! So send us your address through a PM, and we'll send you out something nice. That is the last of our regular contests.
Yeah, we thought it's our first year. This is the last episode of the year. That's our last regular contest. I think
Oh.
to celebrate our 13th episode, which is the beginning of, let's call it a season.
Season 2!
Season 2, starting next month. I think maybe we'll just do one
giant
big giveaway.
If you like the topics from Season 1, get ready.
Season 2's gonna knock your socks off.
Every episode, part 2.
Part 2, party games. Part 2, card games.
Part 2, gaming expectations. What were we
Oh,
thinking?
Okay.
My goodness.
More questions from Twitter. It said, this is from, it's currently Hannibal Lecters, Retro Lecters. If you could experience any game again for the first time, would it be, and why? And my answer for that is 100% The Last of Us, because that is such an emotional experience, and that intro scene just kind of blew me away, and I'd like to relive that. I don't know why, because it's like pretty devastating, but it is just like, the fact that a game could do that is something that I'd want to experience again. I don't know if anyone else has an answer for this.
You know, it's a tough question, because a lot of the retro games that if I was to experience now for the first time wouldn't be as impressive. But with newer games, I think something like Until Dawn, I think that it's a game that you can't necessarily play again, because once you know the story, that's all there really is to it. So I would like to play a game, maybe something similar to Until Dawn would be like experiencing Until Dawn for the first time.
Right, yeah. Which may be Hidden
Hidden
Agenda.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe. We'll see.
Chris, do you have an answer for this one?
Yeah, because I would pick Super Mario Brothers 3 so that I could be 9 again.
Oh, it's more about going back in time for you.
It's more about going back in time.
This question is about you wanting to relive your entire adolescence over again.
Yeah, it was great. I'd do it again.
It's like big. You want to you wish you were small.
Oh, so that I could go back but have this consciousness in that 9-year-old body and relive my life. Oh, yeah, it'd be great.
You would blow everyone away. You would beat Super Mario Brothers 3 on the first try, and everyone would think you're some kind of genius.
Yeah.
You would somehow turn it into money, right? Like a vocation of some sort.
I probably would just end up watching TV over and over
Yeah.
again and memorizing the words to Cool Rock commercials. So
Oh,
there you go.
that's an odd way to spend your time. Okay, another question. This one's from, Musty Hobbit. Now that I've got a PS4, are there any games that you'll be playing on the horizon with a capital H that you'll want someone to play along? So some things that happen in the Cartridge Club is that when many people are playing the same game, kind of like an impromptu conversation happens with it, and you kind of like talk about your progress and did you get to this part without spoiling things for each other, and like just starting a kind of a discourse on the game as you play it, which is a very nice, unique experience. I think he's hinting at Horizon Zero Dawn, maybe.
Yeah, because he capitalized it.
But it's not on our immediate horizon because you're playing Wolfenstein 2. I will say that Musty is our friend on the PlayStation Network, and I noticed that he also was playing it on the PlayStation 4.
What, Wolfenstein 2?
I'm pretty sure.
I think our game for 2018 is gonna be No Man's Sky. We're all gonna play No Man's Sky together.
Why would you do that to us?
No, we're just gonna take a real run at it. You know, just see everything.
Now there's multiplayer, right?
Oh, let's just do it all.
No, I don't see that in Horizon. I don't see Myles and I ever buying that game.
I would love to play a game, though, like all three of us, like do an episode kind of like the Cartridge Club monthly, but like we all pick a game and really delve into it.
Sure.
I would like to see that in season 2.
Yeah, we can do that in season 2. It seems like a very achievable dream.
All right. The last question is from Mrs. Q Dog, and she just says, do you know how much I miss you guys? And if it's as much as we miss you, then yes, we do.
It's mostly for Chris.
That was an unnecessary question.
Aw, Chris.
Aw.
Someday you will meet all these people and you'll understand why we love them all so much. Anyway, those were the questions. I don't know if we even have time for odds and ends. Those
Nah.
were our odds and ends.
That was good, though.
Yeah.
I liked answering questions. If anybody wants to send more questions, just tweet at us using the hashtag FlockTalk.
Yeah, it's the first time we've ever been like actually active with like interacting on Twitter. Going,
Oh,
yeah,
it's nice. Yeah,
people
it's
ask
nice.
us questions.
Actually, you know what? We could answer a lot more questions next episode. We could make it like an anniversary episode.
Oh yeah, we'll have done. This is 1 year. 1 year complete. Tell us what we did right. Tell us what we did wrong. Don't tell us what we did wrong. We're very sensitive people.
No, but if you tell us what we did wrong, we're going to have critiques of the question.
And we're going to tell you how you told us what we did wrong poorly.
Yeah, you you better use proper punctuation and grammar.
Here's my promise. Here's my promise. Things are going to get salty next month.
Wow.
Also, okay, so there's a big prize next month. Get your questions in. Hashtag FlockTalk at Flock of Nerds. Let us know, anything or ask us any question, and you'll be entered into that contest. So for Chris and Kathryn, we just wanted to thank you all so much for your support over the last 12 months. We really appreciate the positive feedback that we've been getting, and everybody's been very nice and welcoming. Thank you. We're going to keep on making some episodes, and we hope you stick around for another year of this.
Yeesh. I'm just kidding. We'll see.
Thank you all so much for listening, and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.